Welcome to Inspired to Care's Connecting with the Future Workforce topic conference. Um, our topic conferences we hold every 2 months, and this was the one that was most popular and requested from our members. So I've put together some slides. It will be me for around the first half an hour, and then it will go on to Gerard for half an hour. It should only take around an hour this session today, but we do book it in for an hour and a half, so you do get some time back at the end for your own well-being. So today we're going to have a look at different strategies to attract and inspire the next generations of talent in adult social care. As the sector evolves, addressing the workforce challenges and adapting to emerging trends is more crucial than ever. So, like I said, in this session, we're going to have Gerard, who's going to go through some new parts that he's been putting together. We're going to be offering some practical advice and some forward-thinking solutions, and also let you know about what we do within when we go out and about, because we're always going to different sessions. So just get a bit of our experience. So I'm David Priest. I am the Recruitment and Retention Officer for the Leicester City area. And I will be the main host of today's session. We've also got Jenny here, who's our Recruitment and Retention Officer for the county. We've got Michelle, who is our External Workforce Lead. And we've got a new team member, Abeda, who is our Project Support. So the objectives of today's session will be to understand the workforce trends, so gain insight into the current and emerging workforce trends affecting the adult social care sector, with a focus on engaging young generations and SEND students. We're going to explore recruitment strategies, learn innovative approaches to attract and retain, and support the next generation of social care professionals. Going to foster some collaboration, build connections between education, employment and social care organisations to create pathways for future talent, and develop practical solutions, so identify actionable steps and resources to address workforce challenges and prepare for future demands in the sector. Sorry if there is any background noise today, by the way, I am in County Hall. So why is it important? So we all know that we've got an ageing workforce within adult social care. So it's more important than ever to bring in a future pipeline of staff. We want to make sure that we are getting people that reflect the current demographic of the country. So we want to make sure that we're prioritising strategies to engage younger generations and individuals from diverse backgrounds. By fostering early connections with students and equipping them with the skills and understanding required, we can build a resilient pipeline of talent. So we found that there's 4 main principles of connecting with younger people. So, of course, social media is always a popular one, providing clear career pathways, creating hands-on experiences, and promoting inclusivity and representation, that should say. So with engaging through digital platforms, so using social media apps and other digital tools to connect with younger people in spaces that they already frequent, ensuring the messaging is engaging, relevant and visually appealing. We've got our social media toolkit as well on our website that you can go into. We've just updated it to include Blue Sky on there, and it will let you know what sort of things you want to be posting on there, what demographic there is, and how frequently you want to post. We've got providing clear career pathways. So we found that there is a massive focus now on not just getting a job, but actually building a career. So people that we speak to want sort of have more of an idea than we ever did at school of where they want their career to take them, and particularly how much money they want to earn is a big focus when we go out and speak to them. We do make it quite clear that with any new job, you're not going to walk straight into £30,000 a year, which seems to be the average that they are expecting to start earning straight away from school. We like to go through all of the different sort of roles you can do in social care and how you can get to them. So it's good to have a look at the different roles that are within your organisation and what sort of path people have taken to get there, because that will quite often be reflected throughout a large chunk of the sector. So creating hands-on experiences, so practical learning opportunities such as work placements, apprenticeships and volunteering, so allowing young people to gain first-hand insight into the rewarding nature of social care roles. We know within social care that work placements, particularly for people that are under the age of 16, can be particularly difficult to get, but there could be work placements within an office setting that may give them more of an insight. We've done virtual work experience with people as well, where we can actually go on and just go through different roles with people and ask them questions about what they would do in certain situations. So that's quite a nice way of going about it, to give them that little bit of experience. And we've got promoting inclusivity and representation, so ensure that the sector presented is as diverse and inclusive and reflective of their values, by showcasing real stories from a range of backgrounds and demonstrating a commitment to equality and innovation. So with that bit, we have our case studies on our website, which you are more than welcome to use for your own promotion as well. So there are some companies that will be here today that have done case studies for us. They're just as much for you to use as us. If they've got your own company logos on and everything like that, no reason why you can't print them off and take them with you to different sessions. If you want a case study creating, you are more than welcome to get in contact with a member of the team and we can get that sorted for you, and I can design that for you and get that ready. So how can we support? So we can support by connecting you with schools. So Inspired Care can connect you with finding schools and colleges local to you and help you contact them to get involved in careers fairs, talks and advice. Social media support, so we are more than happy to help you design and distribute a social media campaign for yourselves. We have just learned how to create templates on Canva, so we can actually create you a social media pack that you can then update yourselves, and you will be the ones that will be able to go onto it and download it, upload your own images, upload your own information. So you've got something there that you can use for as long as you want to. And we can help you with planning. So like I said, we go to so many different sessions with people that we've sort of got experience in a majority of different schools, settings, different kinds of students, different age ranges. So if you do need any advice or want to get something planned, then feel free to get in contact with us and we're more than happy to help you with that. We can go through what sort of thing you want to take with you, what sort of things are going to be engaging for that age range as well. So that is not that bit. So the activity, so your experiences. So what I want you to do is just to have a look, well, have a think about what it was like when you were at school. What sort of careers advice did you get when you were there? Was it any good? What would have helped you to decide the path that you took? So just if you can pop the answers in the chat, I'll give you a couple of minutes to go through that and then we can have a look at them. Okay. I'll do mine as well. Oh, that's lovely. Thank you very much. So it sounds like we all pretty much had the same sort of experience where it was just sort of something that we felt like the school had to do and didn't really want to put any attention on the careers. So, sorry, my camera's just started playing up. There we go. So there wasn't much focus on careers. It was more of a case of you look like you'd be good at that. So there you go. That's your careers advice. I do agree with what Eleanor says, where it needs to be more of a detailed conversation. So that is where we would go and do the careers fairs with people. So pretty much we become the careers advice people now with it. They will have their own careers lead there, but they will more likely invite you in to go and talk with students rather than them just sit down with them for 5 minutes, give them a little chat and send them on their way. So it is a lot better now with it, and they are more aware to get people in that actually have the experience in the sector that kids may be interested in going into. So these are the 4 main sessions that we sort of get invited to go in for. So we have careers fairs, which is discussing the roles, showcasing the variety of roles within the sector and inspiring young people to consider the sector as a viable career path. So these are the ones that you'll most likely do within a school. These are the ones when you're sat in the big assembly hall and you've got a desk and you're just inundated with children from all different ages. There's jobs fairs, which tend to be where you're actually looking to employ people. So this would tend to be people, say, around sixth form age. Ones that may want evening and weekend work, maybe going to university and want a part-time job to go alongside it, or they may want to go straight into employment. I know that they have to stay in school now till 18, I believe. So it could be that they're getting to the age of 18 and they just want to get out and work. So we've got the mock interviews where you'll go in and you'll help young people develop confidence and essential skills by simulating real life recruitment processes tailored to the roles in adult social care. So what you want to do with that is go in with the actual interview questions that you use when you're employing someone and go through that way. You want to take a couple of job descriptions with you that they may be pretending that they're applying for, so that they can have a little bit of a read through so they know what sort of answers you would be expecting. And then you've got the class session. So this is when you become pretty much the teacher. You'll go in probably to a health and social care class and discuss the careers in social care with the students. So we've put together some tips for you, just for you to keep in mind. We would always recommend to attend in pairs. Some sessions may be quieter than others, but it's better to be prepared for the busier sessions. You can talk up to 3 school years worth of students in a day. And me and Jenny, when we've been to sessions, some days we go home and we have no voice left. And that is with 2 of us being there. You want to show diversity, so the future workforce connect better with individuals they personally connect with. So for example, we have more success with young males when I attend jobs fairs. They just seem to be more willing to come up and talk to me than they may do if it was Jenny sat there. You want handouts and freebies, so something as simple as branded pen can really support you with your cause and to get people to your table. With the careers side of things, it's all about speaking to as many people as you can, getting as much impressions on them as you can about your sector. Just get them thinking about it, because it's something that they probably aren't thinking about doing as a job, but you could really change their minds. And then be prepared. So have a box prepared for each kind of session. So one for careers, one for your jobs, and one for career sessions with activities. So for the classroom sessions, these are the ones that you probably need to think about most with. So we've put some activities together. So interactive presentations. So presentations can be boring, especially when you're at school. It's important to ask questions throughout to keep the students engaged and think about what you are showing them. Value sessions. So we found that students connect better when they're talking about themselves or their own friendship groups. So get them to assess their own values. So what's important to them? What qualities do their friends have that make them want to be friends with them? This is a good way of them assessing their own values, and with the push towards value-based recruitment, it'll be something that will benefit them. We've been to a few sessions, which is something called What's My Job? And it's sort of a guessing game for the students. So you give them clues and then they have to guess what your role is. That's something that's quite good to have prepared. And it's something that you could just completely adopt as your own session there. And then the role play. So students will engage more with activities that get them out of their chairs and pretend to work in our sector. Think about what you could do that is specific to your service. So the next activity that I've put together is based on the role play. So have a think about what sort of activity you would do that shows an activity that you would do in your specific service. So for example, Site Life Services may do a session on site obstruction whilst giving only verbal instructions to complete a task. So again, I'll give you a few minutes on that and just pop your answers in the chat. Thank you. Right, they are great ideas. So what we will probably do with them is we will put them together, and then when we send out the information after the session, we will add them in there, and it's all stuff that we can use and support each other with doing. So last bit from me is the resources that we have available for you that may be able to help you. So we have a variety of presentations that are already available in our members area that you can use or adapt for your own purposes. So an introduction to social care, all of the ones that go into different sort of service providers, all of that sort of stuff. We've got a list of schools, so we have a master list of all schools within Leicester and Leicestershire that we can send to you based on your area, and that's got all the generic email addresses to contact their offices. Ideas. So we attend so many different events in a year and we have so many different experiences. So feel free to get in touch if you just want some advice or some help with anything. And then we've got our events page. So our events page on our website is updated monthly with all events that we have been invited to, with instructions of how you can get involved. So if you have like a new recruiter come on board, or if it's something that you've never done before, come along to an event that we are going to as well, and we can help you get set up, give you a bit of advice, check in, see how you're getting on with everything. So that is the end of my bit. So I just want to pass over to Gerard now, if you're here, Gerard.
I'm here, David. Thank you, and thanks. And it was really great to sort of hear the presentation and read some of the comments in the chats around that careers education piece and what happened, or more to the case, what didn't happen. So hopefully the slides that I sort of share with you, and perhaps the conversation we can have this morning can build on some of that and talk about some of the sort of the changes that are happening across Leicester and Leicestershire, and indeed across the country as well. Would it be okay to share my slides from this end, David? Just because I've a couple of last minute tweaks. Let's see if it works.
You able to just take over, Gerard? Does that work?
I think so. Let's have a look. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Thank you very much.
Okay. I need to share my sound with you as well. Okay. Excellent. So, my name's Gerard Manley. I lead on a programme called the Careers Hub across Leicester and Leicestershire, and it's great to see some familiar faces or familiar names on the call working with us already. And I would say that that's been fantastic to have that relationship with colleagues from Inspired to Care who have really sort of stepped up and engaged on this. What I hoped that I could do today is take you through perhaps a way to maybe think slightly differently around what's happening for careers education for young people in education institutions and for you as that sort of potential future employer of these young people as well. So we'll take a moment to have a look at what Careers Hub is and how we're reframing careers education. I'd like to talk to you a little bit around a framework called the Gatsby Benchmarks for Careers Guidance, which will really sort of hopefully give you a bit of an insight around how schools are organising at a sort of strategic level their careers education plans. Some data for you to have a look at, not too heavy, but around what careers young people are thinking about and what sectors they're looking at. Some of the things that you could do that make an impact, some of those David's already touched on, and there may be a few other things that you could think about doing as well in a bit more of a sort of collaborative way. And then just a moment to share with you some of the work that we're doing around reinventing work experience and again, sort of some of the innovation that we're hoping to bring to bear on that across the schools and colleges, and the employers that we're engaging on that, and the impact that it's having, the difference that it's making, sort of moving it beyond just being young people sort of parachuted in, having some sort of orientation, and almost by the end of that week or that period that they've got, only then do they get a sense of what's happening in the organisation. So we're looking to sort of change that to be more meaningful. And then the other thing, which is sort of half the press, is the Get Britain Working white paper. I popped a link in there, but there's some interesting things in that around Job Centre Pluses becoming more of a sort of centre for careers guidance as well. I have put together a one-page brief for my network, but I'm really happy to share that if anyone thinks it would be useful. The main report's not too big, but hopefully this should all take us about half an hour. I think there's a little bit of time at the end should anybody want to ask questions or pop them in the chat, although I can't see the chat at the moment. So first of all, what is a Careers Hub? We're funded sort of nationally through an organisation called the Careers and Enterprise Company, and then that's match funded locally with the Leicester and Leicestershire Business and Skills Partnership, which many of you might have known as the Local Enterprise Partnership. Careers Hubs are about working with every school and college, so all schools and colleges in Leicester and Leicestershire are engaged in this, and looking at how we can improve the chances for those young people, whether it is about moving into employment or moving into education, and particularly those who are most disadvantaged, who maybe feel like they couldn't progress into, for example, higher education or jobs where there is a good level of progression, like your sector, where you can sort of build that career and that career pathway and a sort of real breadth and depth of what's available. So we bring together all of the schools through their careers leaders. So every school and college has a nominated careers leader. They are different from careers advisors because they have a sort of a strategic accountability around careers education across the whole of that school. So what it isn't is what we've all sort of experienced and talked about in the chat, sort of careers advice and guidance last minute almost as you're sort of leaving the doors of education. This is about starting those conversations year 7, 8, 9, all the way up to sort of post-16 education. So how we do that and how we measure that is through the Gatsby benchmarks, which I will share a slide with you and just sort of unpack those a little bit. But I think what's important to say here is that if we'd have asked schools 6, 7 years ago how good their careers education programs were, they would have all said, quite rightly so, that they're great. But what that meant is that we had 90 variations of what great looked like across Leicester and Leicestershire. And this is about bringing that sort of quality assurance and raising everybody up to be sort of offering that world-class careers education piece. So in terms of how we operate on that sort of last but one bullet point, we provide every school with a member of my team who are enterprise coordinators, and they work sort of hand in glove with an enterprise advisor to really drive forward careers education. So it's almost like that sort of support and challenge piece for those schools. You know, what are you doing around careers education? How is it aligning to the local skills need? So everything that we do in the Careers Hub, making sure that we're not just sort of throwing the little funding that we've got at this, and then next year we have the same problem. What we want is, and what we do focus on, is around having solutions that are shareable, scalable, and sustainable. So when I talk about sort of reframing careers education, that chart on the right there, that's what I sort of refer to as the virtuous circle of careers education. If we start off with, you know, inspiring young people, and some of those ideas you've come up with this morning are really inspirational, they were great, then what we can create there is a whole range of meaningful experiences. And what we mean by meaningful is that actually young people have insight and they understand what's going to happen. If I use the example of careers fairs aren't always meaningful for young people because they will walk around, they will grab all of those pads and pens and come out of it at the other end, not having spoken to an employer. But if we make it meaningful, we set some tasks, some challenges, we make sure they understand what their expectations are, it can have much better impact. So moving around that cycle, then we get the relevant guidance. So we've spoken in the chat around not having great guidance. Every school now has to have a level 6 qualified careers advice practitioner. So those young people getting really high quality careers advice and guidance. And if we get those parts right, what we start to see is a really good launch and landing. So launching from sort of their secondary school or further education into whatever their next steps are, because they understand where they're going and what they're going to be working towards, rather than just sort of making that decision based on what their peers are doing or a family member. Actually, they can have a much more meaningful approach to making those decisions around what their future careers is. And then the sort of last two parts of this circle really feed into those sort of skills challenges. So if we get all of those parts right, those young people then become your future workforce. They're productive, they contribute to the local economy, and that then feeds into prosperity for all, for our sort of our employers, our world of work, but also for those young people having that money in their pocket as well. So quite a seismic shift from where careers education was to where it is. spoken quite a bit about or alluded to what the Gatsby benchmarks are. And this is the framework, and these have just been revised after 10 years. But what I would say is that every school and college is working towards meeting these benchmarks. And this is a really good way of being able to talk to schools. So if you are going in to deliver activities or give talks, actually think about how it could contribute to helping those schools meet the Gatsby benchmarks. It's that sort of quality assured piece. It's the language that they know and they understand. I won't go through all of these benchmarks, but there's a couple that I did want to pick out. Benchmark 1 is that foundation one. So now every school has to have a stable careers programme. It's evaluated by not just parents and carers and staff, but also employers. So it's really fit for purpose. We work with those schools to make sure that it's progressive from year 7 all the way on, and that it's sequential. So actually those young people can understand that programme that's going to happen to them. So within those career programmes, what we expect to see now, and I'll sort of pick on some of this, is that young people will be able to learn from career and labour market information. They'll understand where the jobs are, what are the knowledge, skills and behaviours that are required to them. Benchmark 4 is that actually we can link some of that learning into the career. So we talk about having careers in the curriculum, and your sector is a great example of being able to fit into the curriculum and just then making it more contextualised. And benchmark 5 and 6 is around those sort of encounters and that engagement that young people can have with employers. And the more encounters they can have, the more they are likely to make the right choices and destinations, but equally increase their earning power as well. So that's the Gatsby benchmarks that every school and college is supported by us to meet and work towards. We survey young people, and this is probably the first big sort of push out nationally around this data. So every young person in Leicester and Leicestershire and across the majority of our schools are invited to complete a future skills questionnaire. And that's about where they are thinking for their future careers. And you'll see here that actually healthcare fares quite well in this, which I think is great to see. And you'll see that sort of mustard coloured line, and I will share the slides if you can't see it, but in year 7 we start to see that the interest grows and grows and grows, but in year 10 to year 11 it does dip down a little bit. So that's quite interesting to maybe sort of dig into, well why is that, what's happening there? That's national data from a report that's just been published today. But if we wanted to look at that in terms of locally, then the last time, and this is probably about a sort of a year or so old now, but nonetheless useful to see. This is for young people in Leicester and Leicestershire and where they are thinking. So they're thinking at year 10 and 11, or that key stage 4, where they're taking their GCSE options, and it was around about 2,000 young people. And what you can see there is just under 13% are thinking about a role in healthcare. But then it does drop down to just over 5.6% of young people looking at social care. And we've been doing some really interesting work on a sector level around this. So we sort of did this exercise with sports and sort of health and wellbeing to see where they fit in this. And you can see that sports and leisure is at 6.6%. So we unpicked that data with that sector. And what it meant was that they could refocus their efforts towards those earlier years around year 7 and 8 to make sure that they were well informed. So when they come to make their options and decisions, actually they'd already got that information. So just a snapshot of the career aspirations and the future thinking of young people. So David talked a little bit around what makes a difference or what can make a difference. And these are, I think, just some other things to think about that would complement some of that as well. You may have in the past perhaps sort of tried to engage with schools, and you might have found it, if we're being really honest, slightly frustrating sometimes about getting to the right person. But now, as I mentioned, every school has a named careers leader. They have to publish that information on their website, but the careers leader is that point where you could actually go and have a conversation about having a more long-term relationship with schools or colleges that are nearby, and having more of a sort of planned and strategic approach rather than just that sort of knee-jerk reaction of, oh, we'll go in and deliver some CV writing. Actually, it could be something that's more progressive. You might do some things across year 7, 8, 9 and beyond. We know that earlier engagement has a greater impact because those young people will have you on their radar earlier on before they are making some of those options and those key decisions around careers education. Spoke about more meaningful encounters. So that meaningful encounter is one where a student has an opportunity to learn about what work is like or what it takes to be successful in the workplace. So it's much more structured. You could look at embedding careers from your sector in the curriculum. You could take some time to engage with teaching staff and actually look at how they could embed your sector in their schemes of work. We know teacher placements are really impactful. We've done this on a large scale over the last 2 years around life sciences and creative sectors. Teachers quite often are almost starved of the opportunity to find out what's happening in industry. So quite often they will go from education when they've qualified as a teacher back into the classroom. So actually perhaps thinking about inviting teachers or a teacher or group of teachers to have a conversation with you about what your needs are and how you could sort of support them to make young people more aware could be really impactful. Labour market information and industry insights, and I'll talk briefly about some of the resources that we've got around this, but nobody's better placed to talk about what it's like to work in your sector and the opportunities and the progression and the pay and the rewards than you. So, you know, that authentic voice that you can have talking to young people, really, really powerful. But what you can think about around those sort of LMI and industry insights is maybe having more focused conversations. So you might do a whole assembly, but actually perhaps then you could have a follow-on event from anybody who's interested to have a more sort of bespoke or detailed conversation around what you do. I won't cover being inclusive too much because I think David did a really good job of talking about that. But you could talk to us about being more evidence-based or data-led around who you want to engage. We have lots of cold spots data where schools aren't meeting benchmarks 5 and 6, or we have those schools where they have particularly high levels of disadvantage or free school meals as well. We do have a new tool which is called the Employer Standards. I will share a link with this presentation, but that gives you an opportunity in the space of about 20 minutes to work through a self-assessment report that will then give you a really insightful way of breaking down either what you do already or what you would like to do and think about how you could build a structured plan around that. The offer from me is that if you do complete an employer standard self-assessment, my team would be really happy to sort of spend some time and talk to you in more detail about that and what you can do rather than perhaps feeling overwhelmed. But it's based around 9 sort of pillars. So for example, one of those pillars is about being inclusive. So if you want to be more inclusive, then we can help you think about that, and we have tools and resources there so you don't have to sort of reinvent the wheel. And then the last one is probably a rather obvious one, but you know, please do come and talk to us at the Careers Hub, and we do engage and work with Inspired to Care, who are one of our cornerstone employers as well. One of the things that I talked about was sort of meaningful encounters. I'm just going to play a short video which is about 2 minutes long, but it hopefully might get you to think about work experience or experiences of the workplace in a slightly different way. We've been working with a whole range of employers, and over the last 12 months we've supported somewhere in the region of 3,500 young people through our Unbox Your Future project, and that's included some fantastic innovation through Inspired to Care and colleagues. So I'll play this video for you and hopefully the sound will work.
The definition of innovation is to introduce something new or make changes to something established. Unbox Your Future is innovating work experience because we know that only 43% of businesses that have hired someone for their first job after leaving education thought they were well prepared for work. But we also know that over half of businesses in Leicester and Leicestershire are likely to hire someone straight from education in the next 12 months. Therefore, work experience is vital to plug that gap. However, there are huge barriers to providing and delivering work experience. Time, resource, expertise, access and return on investment, especially for SMEs. So what is Unbox Your Future? Unbox Your Future is work experience. Students learn about an organisation and have the opportunity to meet employees, complete a real project and visit a workplace. What is innovative about that? Firstly, it is spaced out over multiple weeks, reducing the time and resource burdens on businesses, but also importantly, giving business volunteers, young people and teachers a chance to build a relationship and have time between the sessions to reflect and reset. Secondly, it's a group placement, a group of students supported by a teacher and delivered by a selection of volunteers from your business, reducing the time pressure on one member of staff. The students all complete a task relevant to that workplace, further developing their transferable skills through team working. Week 1 is virtual, weeks 2 and 3 are in school, with the final session on site at the business premises. We anticipate a maximum of 11 hours of staff time spent on delivering the project, from conception to completion.
So that was just a bit of a sort of insight into Unbox Your Future. We now have a sort of really nice sustainable model through that, where schools are embracing it because they can plug that into any sector. And actually, we've got our employer base, the employers that we work with, approaching other schools to say, this is what we'd like to do around providing experiences of the workplace. What I would say is that all of the assets are already developed, all of the guides, everything is there, and we work with you to sort of build that project piece. But really happy to sort of have conversations. And I know Inspired to Care worked and delivered some of the Unbox Your Future challenges with us as well. So do feel free to sort of reach out to those guys. So if I can move my slides on. Okay, so spoken a lot around sort of what careers education looks like now, and the progress that it's made and the impact that it's having. This is just a very sort of short piece at the end to say that there are a number of different resources already here for you to sort of help you, and these are a hyperlink, so you can sort of click on them and go through when the presentation's shared to sort of have a look. But I have picked out a couple of them that I thought might be useful to spotlight as well. One is the World of Work, our local LMI package. So you heard me earlier talk about the value of labour market information. You can go to our website, and there's a link down there in the bottom left-hand corner, and you'll see there that there is a sort of healthcare section that's got a whole pack of sort of teacher or resources that you can use with teachers, quizzes, videos, but they're all based around Leicester and Leicestershire, so they really sort of resonate with young people. So again, yeah, not necessarily going to have to sort of reinvent all of that. And we know, as you can see in that sort of top right hand corner there, it supports schools in meeting Gatsby benchmark too. We've got a range of different district snapshots that talk about the key sectors in any of those districts, some of the wages you can expect or a young person can expect to earn, and some of the skills that are most asked for as well. And that really was everything that I wanted to sort of cover with you today. I'll stop sharing. Really happy to pick up conversations with people offline, pick up any questions or comments that people have now. But otherwise, thank you again, David, for some time on the agenda, and I hope that's been useful for people.
That was really good. I've really learned some stuff as well for going through it. So what we will do, has anyone got any questions that they'd like to ask?
Excellent.
Again, you'll get all of our information anyway when we send it all out to you. So if you do think of anything, because sometimes you have to let it marinate for a bit before things come up. We'll be sending out all of the information, and we've also created a toolkit to go alongside this topic, so we will send you a link to that. Is there anything else anyone would like including in the email that we sent over that we have mentioned but we've not particularly said that we're going to be sending it? Anything like that? Cool. So I'll get that out to you later today or tomorrow morning. So keep a look on your inbox. Michelle's popped the SurveyMonkey into the chat for us, and that's just about a review of the topic conference. It lets us know where we're at with everything and what sort of things you would like to see in the future. But I will get this uploaded onto YouTube as well when it is prepared. So you'll all be able to watch it and share it as much as you would like with any of your colleagues. Okay. So that's it. We're all sorted. So enjoy your time back and have a long lunch. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.